We always treat performance, FCR, growth, and sustainability as two separate things. We ask if you're willing to sacrifice one for the other.
The classic trade-off.
But maybe that's the wrong way to look at it. The single most effective way to reduce the environmental footprint of a salmon is to maximize its survival and minimize its feed conversion ratio.
Because a dead fish is a total waste of resources.
It's the highest carbon footprint possible. So the question for you is, are we measuring sustainability correctly if we aren't viewing efficiency as the ultimate environmental metric?
A whole new era of communication in the global aquaculture industry is coming. Now you have the brightest minds in aquaculture right in your pocket. And what's best, you can listen to all of them while driving to a farm, traveling, or running errands. It's never been this good, and it's never been this simple. Welcome to the Aquaculture Podcast Show, the first AI-based podcast in aquaculture, where you'll find cutting-edge insights in everything that's working in aquaculture, nutrition, health, and production. Inspired by the 2025 article titled, Promoting Sustainable Feed Choices in Norwegian Salmon Aquaculture by Exploring Sustainability Awareness Among Fish Feed Manufacturers and Fish Farmers, by Cantillo, Javier, Moe Samdahl, and Paritosh C. Deshpande.
Let's just look at the raw numbers. The Norwegian government has a target, and it's audacious.
It's massive.
5 million tons of salmon by 2050. That's a huge multiplier on what we're doing now.
And if you're working in this space, you know that goal runs straight into a wall.
A very solid one.
Feed. The availability of sustainable feed. We just can't get there using today's formulations. It's impossible.
It's the defining bottleneck for the industry, really. The biomass required.
Yeah.
It makes the current supply chain model just untenable without major innovation.
But that's the thing, right? Innovation costs money. It introduces risk.
And we talk a big game about sustainability at conferences.
We do. But how does that actually translate when a procurement manager is looking at raw material costs versus the feed conversion ratios they're on the hook for?
That is exactly what we're digging into today. We're looking at a 2025 study by Cantillo, Samdahl, and Deshpande.
And what's so great about this study is that it gets past the usual survey answers where, everyone says they're an environmentalist.
Right.
They use a method that really cuts through the noise. It helps pinpoint the gap between what people say they care about, the environmental, economic, social aspects, and what actually drives their decisions.
Wisenetics turns podcast airtime into brand authority. We don't sell ads, we elevate voices. Curious how far your voice can go to become a reference in the industry and attract more leads? Scan the QR code and discover how we can turn your expertise into unmatched brand authority. Let's transform expertise into influence, starting now.
So, for everyone listening, if you're formulating diets, managing fish health, or just watching the margins, this is a mirror. Does the pressure to be sustainable actually move the needle for you?
Let's start with the big one, the hierarchy of choice. When push comes to shove, does sustainability actually rank higher than performance?
And the study's answer?
It's a definitive no. For both feed manufacturers and for farmers, performance and cost, they're still the dominant drivers.
And by performance, we're talking about specific, hard metrics.
Exactly. The farmers rated fish health performance, feed conversion ratio, and growth rate performance as their absolute top criteria.
Technicals.
The technicals. If the feed doesn't perform biologically, nothing else matters. You can have the most carbon-neutral feed in the world, but if your FCR goes up, you're out of business.
You can't sustain a business that's not profitable. But there was a split, a subtle one, between the manufacturers and the farmers.
A critical one, yeah. The data shows manufacturers actually rate environmental aspects a little higher than farmers do. They're the ones pushing the R&D.
But they feel constrained by what the market will actually buy.
Exactly. And on the flip side, farmers rated economic aspects higher than environmental ones. The study puts it bluntly. The transition has followed a path of weak sustainability.
And that's an economic term, not a judgment.
Right. It just means the transition is being driven by what makes financial sense, not necessarily by a deep ecological shift.
Yeah.
We're substituting one form of capital for another.
The economic incentives still outweigh the environmental externalities.
For now, yes. The market is being rational.
Okay, this brings us to that constant buzzword, locally sourced. It gets sold as this sustainability silver bullet.
But the study just blows that idea up. There's a total disconnect.
How so?
The manufacturers were clear. Local does not automatically mean sustainable. In fact, they don't even report it as a standard metric to their client.
You'd think that would be a selling point.
Their argument is that efficient global logistics can actually be less carbon intensive. They're focused on sustainable sourcing, like, is the soy deforestation free? Not where it's from.
A bulk carrier is incredibly efficient per kilo.
Exactly. And the farmers, the data is brutal here. They assign the lowest importance to the origin of raw materials.
And what about willingness to pay?
Even more telling, 40% said flat out no to paying a premium for local.
43% said maybe.
Which leaves just 17% who were a definite yes. That's a niche market. It's not an industry transformation.
So the local label just isn't a strong enough value proposition to override cost.
Not for the technical buyer, no.
Okay, we've hit environmental and economic. What about the third pillar? Social sustainability.
A forgotten pillar.
It really is.
The data confirms it's the least relevant dimension for both groups. But there's a nuance here between internal and external social aspects.
Right.
Manufacturers focus on the internal stuff. Labor laws, safety, compliance, it's what you have to do to operate. They saw the external things like community impact as less relevant to the feed itself.
Which is a huge missed opportunity.
A massive one, because the analysis found a really interesting correlation.
What's that?
The farmers who do care about those external social contributions, they also tend to have a much higher concern for environmental issues.
So they're the holistic buyers.
Yeah.
If you want to sell sustainability, you might need to tell that social story too.
You might. It connects being a good corporate citizen with being an environmental steward.
But making that connection needs data. And that brings us to another huge barrier identified in the analysis.
Information asymmetry, a classic market problem.
One side has all the information.
The feed manufacturer, they have the life cycle assessments, the specific footprint of every single ingredient.
But the farmer doesn't get to see the recipe.
Exactly, proprietary formulations. So the farmer is left looking at these broad, company-wide sustainability reports. They lack the specific data for this batch of feed.
So if you can't see the specific environmental advantage of one feed over another, what do you fall back on?
What you can measure, price and performance. The study is very clear. A lack of solid data is a major barrier.
Let's talk about the solutions, the future ingredients. What's on the table, according to the manufacturers?
The list is pretty much what you'd expect. Algae oil is seen as the most scalable right now for those omega-3s.
Then you have insect meals.
Promising, great nutritional profile, but facing huge scale issues. You can't run an industry this big on pilot plants.
Yeah.
They also mentioned single-cell proteins, fungi, yeasts, and, of course, low-trophic marine resources like calanus and krill.
But identifying them is the easy part. The real issue is the barriers. I found the frustration around regulations really interesting.
That was a key point. They feel that some regulations, like limits on zinc or vitamin D, are actually holding back nutritional optimization.
Which feels counterintuitive.
Their argument is, if you want to lower the FCR, which is the best way to lower the footprint, you have to optimize the diet for the fish, not for a 10-year-old regulatory limit.
And then there's the cost. One person in the study just said someone needs to take that cost.
And right now, nobody wants to. It's a standoff. The manufacturer can't absorb it, and the farmer won't pay for it without a guaranteed premium.
So how do we break that standoff? What are the recommendations?
Number one, collaboration is non-negotiable, and they mean specific value chain alignment. Retailers, farmers, and feed producers have to share the cost.
It can't just be on the feed, guys.
No. Second, highlight certified ingredients. The analysis showed that farmers who value certified or organic are much more likely to prioritize sustainability as a whole. It's a key leverage point.
And for the data problem.
Use environmental indicators. Move toward providing specific data for specific batches, emissions, land use impact. Build trust with real numbers.
Which might justify a higher cost.
It might. And finally, reevaluate social metrics. Move beyond just compliance. Communicating positive community impact can be a real value driver.
It reframes you from a vendor to a partner.
Precisely.
So to wrap up, it seems we're stuck in this weak sustainability loop. We have the growth target, we have the technology, but the economics of today are blocking the investment for tomorrow.
It's a real tension. But there's a final thought from the study I want to leave with you, one that kind of reframes the entire debate.
Wait for it.
We always treat performance, FCR, growth, and sustainability as two separate things. We ask if you're willing to sacrifice one for the other.
The classic trade-off.
But maybe that's the wrong way to look at it. The single most effective way to reduce the environmental footprint of a salmon is to maximize its survival and minimize its feed conversion ratio.
Because a dead fish is a total waste of resources.
It's the highest carbon footprint possible. So the question for you is, are we measuring sustainability correctly if we aren't viewing efficiency as the ultimate environmental metric?
So perhaps performance isn't the opposite of sustainability.
Perhaps, in our industry, performance is sustainability.
A provocative thought. Are you buying ingredients to look green or buying performance to be green?
That's the question for the next decade.
Review your criteria. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.
If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to follow the Aquaculture Podcast Show on your favorite platform. And don't forget to follow us on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook to stay updated on the latest episodes and industry insights. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.